Hello, good evening. Welcome to Talkin Kop. It's me, Chris Brack. We're here. We're going to talk about Liverpool being pissed and turning up at Brighton and maybe winning a game. Speaking of drunk people, I'm here with Kevin Ashley as well because they've not stopped drinking since we won the league either. So, how are we all?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Just kind of look. I'm looking forward to watching us just to see what happens. But
Let's see if we're sober.
you know, yeah, it's like I gave a shit about the Arsenal game and the Chelsea game because it's Arsenal and Chelsea. I'm not told. I don't care now. I just want to see what we do, see if we do any tweaks or anything, and then just enjoy the next two performances and go from there. Just hope to God no one, you don't want to see anyone get injured or anything, but just want to have a bit of fun. Just want to have a bit of fun watching us at the minute.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, it might be nice to win a game before the league season's over, But then again, having looked through the history of Liverpool, especially in the '80s and all that, is actually for a lot of clubs, what's to win the league? Fuck it, who cares?
It seems to be the mentality of everyone at the club at the moment because I think everyone's seen the social media posts, everyone's seen the trips, everyone's seen the coach off doing, crazy stuff. I loved the content today. If you haven't seen it, the team holding up the champion sign and sort of mocking. That was so good. Whoever came up with that idea, I feel like that's like an Andy Robertson kind of shithousery.
I think it was actually Curtis Jones telling everyone to stand in the right place.
Okay. Well, whoever it was, kudos to them because it was absolutely fantastic. And it's just great, like that kind of bonding and camaraderie. But in terms of actual football, like the team just got back today. So today's the first session. They're going to train tomorrow. They're going to train on Sunday. And hopefully they'll be ready.
Yeah. I mean, stick with you, Ashley. The one thing that came out of the press conference was brilliant. It's the best line I think Slot's done all season. When someone tried to ask him about transfers, said, "Have you spoken to Richard Hughes about transfers?" And he goes, "Have you not seen on social where I've been for the last week?" And he just has a smile on his face. It's a bit like, "I don't want to be here. I was in Ibiza. I don't care."
He did not pick up any sort of phone calls or do any sort of anything. I mean, he did make a sly little comment where he was like, I do think about other things on vacation, but I doubt that he was thinking about Richard Hughes. I'm fine with it. It seems like he's okay with the amount of time they have to prepare. Like, he spoke pretty openly about the fact that they've got 3 days. They're going to train really hard. He thinks that he can set the team up in 3 days. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
I think it is a little bit of the... It's probably good management because it's a little bit of the... Look, you train hard, you win the big prizes, but then you get to enjoy... I'm going to let you enjoy it. Because if Liverpool had gone deep in the FA Cup and got to an FA Cup final or in the Champions League final, there wouldn't have been any of this. This is probably one of those rare occasions where you go, well, you've won the league, you've got 4 games now just to enjoy it. So this is probably, for our players, a good bit of mental downtime as well, Kev, isn't it? Because let's be honest, this is the last summer where there'll be no tournaments. Because then you've got AFCON in late December, you've then got a World Cup the following summer. I think you've got a Copa America as well. So this actually is an ideal bit of mental and physical break for all the players. So it's a bit of a blessing, really.
Even this summer, you've got sides going off for internationals after the season finishes. Whether it's Nations League, players might be involved in the Nations League. You also got to look at it is there's going to be players here that will already know that they're going at the end of the season. And this is probably the last bit of bonding that they're going to have together as a group. And they'll all go their separate ways as soon as the parade is done. And, they want to enjoy this time. I have no problem with them going off to Dubai for a few days. They're back in plenty of time. It's like we're playing Monday night. They'll train today. They train tomorrow. They'll probably have a light session Sunday morning. Whether they travel down Sunday evening and then play Monday. It's not the be all and end all, but I think it's going to be. I'm interested to see what he does and how he approaches it because I don't know which way he's going to go with this.
No, I'm a bit like that as well, Ashley. I mean, I expect him to go pretty much full strength for Palace. Last home game, the big event of picking the actual trophy up, a bit like the Arsenal home game. I think they want to make that a bit of an event. I kind of feel like there'll be some changes, but I'd be surprised if it's Chelsea level changes.
Yeah, I don't expect Chelsea level changes. I think that was sort of, here, you guys have earned this. We're going to give it to, whether it was Endo or Elliot or Curtis or whoever it was, Kwanzaa. They earned that start. I think what's interesting is what we saw at Arsenal, where he was kind of playing around with the tactics a little bit. We saw Jones kind of adjust his position a tiny bit. We saw Robertson bombing on a little bit more. I want to see if there's more of that. I want to see if there's more insight into what we might be doing next year, because this does feel like a really rare opportunity where you have competitive level football, or at least competitive level opponents, because there's still stuff going on for Brighton. They could theoretically still get into Europe. But
Quite
we
slim.
don't have any jeopardy.
Yeah, it's quite slim now for Brighton, though, isn't it? Because they need quite a few results to go their way a little bit.
Yeah, it's not in their hands, but there is still the possibility. I think they're either in 8th or 9th right now, depending on the way the results go. The one thing that's working in their favor, I think, is that Brentford and Bournemouth play head to head. So if they drop points, if both of them drop points, they could, have a sneaky uprising in the table. I don't know, but I'm curious to see what he's going to do there. I think in terms of rotation, like you said, it's not going to be Chelsea level. I expect maybe like one rotation. I think maybe McAllister probably starts in this one. I think we were surprised not to see him start. I think everything else kind of picks itself.
Yeah, you think it'd be the usual front three. I think 3 at the back 4 are dead cert. I kind of feel left back he could kind of flip a coin. Could be Costas' last game. Also, I think from what I saw in the game, in the ground, is Liverpool more condensed in the middle and really leaving width for the fullbacks, which is fine for Bradley, it's fine for Robertson. But if you're thinking Frimpong, and if the rumours are true, of a Kirkes type, that really plays into their strength. So is that the little bit they're trying to do? And always trying to play like 2 10s sometimes off the ball. So it's like we have 2 sitters and then 2 very advanced. So it'll be interesting, Kev. That's the sort of thing. Maybe it might not be much of a change in personnel, but maybe just some tactical tweaks. And let's be honest, for Bradley, this is another good test for him. Can he get longer than 70? And he's got to get Matoma, which is, let's be honest, is no barrel laughs.
No, it's
a good test.
He's going to have been away, relax, come back, and he'll be more switched on than anyone. Because as wingers go, as left wingers go, out and out wingers, Karim Matoma is as good as anyone on his day. And Brighton do have something to play for, I mean, they're probably looking to try to get their highest points total just by winning their last 2 games. And in all fairness, if I'm a betting man, I'm lumping on Brighton for Monday night. Because I don't know how seriously we're going to be, how intense we're going to be. That's the key. I think if Brighton go into Monday night with anything to play for, the possibility of getting into the Conference League spots, then they'll go hell for leather. It's their last home game as well. They're not going to want to sound off on a meek note. They've had an indifferent season, really, in patches. They've been patchy all season. They've been scintillating at points, and then they've been rash and reckless, and not like Brighton that we've come to expect in recent years. So
I think I saw a stat the other day. They haven't been any of the bottom 3 at home.
It's a mad thing. It's a mad thing the way they're going at the minute. I honestly enjoy watching Brighton. I always have. Ever since they've come back into the Premier League, they've been a breath of fresh air, and they're no respecter of reputations, as we've seen it. There's always tends to be goals in these games.
The bigger teams tend to suit the way they play.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, listen, look, actually, if we look at our recent league record there, it's not been the easiest ground for us to go. So, I mean, we drew there last year 2-2. The year before, we got battered 3-0. I think and then we have won 2-0, then it's 1-1. It's always been a trick that's just a ball ache to play, really. They're one of those clubs where they're a bit of a kryptonite to us. Certain clubs just...
I mean, even Southampton this year, we found it tricky to play against them. There are teams that just stylistically clash, and I think it usually brings out a really good game. It's usually quite high scoring. there's usually a little bit of drama. I think Welbeck usually scores against us. They have found a little bit of form at home, at least recently. I never really know what to expect with them. They're very kind of hot and cold. Like sometimes they look like the Brighton of old that was really, really threatening. And then there are some games where they just collapse and I don't really know. I can't really put my finger on why it happens. So I think going into this, they're going to have more to play for. I'm expecting them to at least come at us and give it a good shot. I think the odds are actually pretty evenly split. I think now that people have seen that Liverpool have been off doing their jollies and whatnot, I think it's something like 33% to Liverpool, 33% to Brighton, and then 33% for a draw. So it's definitely we're not favorites going into this.
No, I mean, I think to be honest, Gary, if you judge the Arsenal game, if you get the Liverpool that played in the first half over the last 10 minutes of the Arsenal game, you'd back Liverpool all the way. If you get the Liverpool that turned up from half-time till about the 80th minute mark, where that level of intensity just drops. And I think that's been a thing for Liverpool all season, is they're trying to do the slot controlling game. This was coming under Klopp as well, is just sometimes Liverpool, while they try to do this controlling game, right, keep the 2-0 and pick them off ready for a third, which what City did at their best. Liverpool's probably dropped their intensity a bit too much and become a little bit too passive. It's that little bit of a learning curve of a little bit of a style change. I still think that's probably the big thing they've got to look into for next season.
For me, it's a case of they're fine keeping possession in our own half. They forget the other bit, that at some point you've got to get the ball forward. And, the whole idea of doing this is you draw players into you. You create situations where you want them to press you, and then you go around it. And I think that's the bit we're struggling with. That's the bit where you need a number 10 to be that linchpin that you can go through. And we're struggling to find whoever is playing in the 10 in those kind of situations. It's more difficult against a side like Arsenal, who, let's face it, are very good and organised and aggressive in their pressing. So it's a learning curve with a lot of this. I think they'll try stuff. I think we'll go there and we'll try a few things, but ultimately, I think they'll want to finish off the season positively as well. It's kind of galling in a way that we're not going to hit 90 points, but they won't want to finish the league season on the back of 4 losses either, or what it will feel like 4 losses. I know we didn't lose against Arsenal, but when you're 2-0 up in a game and you don't get 3 points, it kind of feels like a loss, So they'll want to finish this season off on a positive note, and if that means that positive note is you pick up an away win at a tough place like Brighton, and you finish it off in style at home in the last game of the season, then you're happy enough. I mean, we've got to be delighted in the last game of the season. Look, we're going to be celebrating, and we're not going to care about the results, but.
Well, actually, we're hoping, fingers crossed, it's going to be a double celebration last game of the season, because hopefully we'll be parading the league title. Well, we will be parading the league title, and hopefully Palace are parading an FA Cup.
I mean, that would be great.
That'd be great, where both teams go, don't give a shit now.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
That would be fantastic.
I'd also just like to see that for Palace's sake. I think they...
it'll be their first major trophy, and do you know what? Every now and again, it's quite good. It's nice to see not one of the usual suspects win it. Like, I think when Portsmouth won it a few years ago, it's good to sometimes see, or a Wigan, just every now and again, it's good to see someone different. Like, although it hurt us, it was probably nice to see like a Newcastle win a League Cup. Again, not the usual 4 or 5 teams that always win it. Mix it up, just gives teams a little bit of hope. I mean, I suppose we can kind of talk again, but should we talk about Mo Salah for a bit? Because he had a nice 20-minute chat with Gary Neville. Bodied him a couple of times. Mentioned his favourite ground was Old Trafford to play at, away ground. One of his favourite wins was beating Man United. So I did quite like that. And then he had some interesting chats about his season as a whole. So he said at the start of the season he felt there was only a 10% chance he would stay. Said because we know how the club works. He was very clear to clarify that's not a criticism. Said that's just how it is. Which I don't think is a new thing, which is players over 30 Players over 30 don't tend to get long contracts or tend to run the contracts late. That's quite the norm. And then obviously he had his opinion on Trent, which, judging by social media, some people have been fine with it, some people haven't liked it, some people now don't think he should make a comment on it. I mean,
Why?
Because he didn't. Because according to social media, everyone hates him.
Who gives a fuck what social media says?
Yeah. So look, I mean, being in the ground, it was weird because the crowd was generally split into three people. It was split into those who wanted to boo and let him know what they thought, those who were annoyed with people who were booing, and then I was in the one where I was just a bit like, I'm not asked. He comes on, I was like, well, okay, he comes on. You know, I'm not going to jump up and down and cheer for him, but I haven't got the energy for stuff like that. My view, and listen, everyone has their own views, everyone can do what they want, really, is I understood why some people booed him because I felt like some people felt they feel hurt by him, they don't like the way he's left, they don't like the way he's acted, so they wanted to let him know. I think it should have stopped. My opinion should have stopped there. Booing it at his every touch, I actually thought it was detrimental to Liverpool. It should have just gone back to singing the Conor Bradley song and the Steven Gerrard song and the anti-Real Madrid song. That would have done you good. My hope is it's out of people's system now, ready for the weekend. But what did you make of it, Ashley?
I mean, I understand why it happened. I think I wrote a little bit of a lengthy message in our Telegram group giving my thoughts on it, and
about 3 pages long, wasn't it?
It was not 3 pages long, but it basically just talked about I think the feelings and the booing and the things like that, they come from a place of hurt. They don't come up from a place of hating Trent Alexander-Arnold. They just come from, I think the way I tried to express it, it's like you have this child that's born in Liverpool, that's then raised by Liverpool and taught by the Liverpool Academy, and it's very much like you're raising this little warrior that you're hoping to fight for your city, and he comes through the academy, he does everything that you hope and more, he becomes the face of the academy and one of the faces of the team, and you feel like he's therefore like this, I don't know, like example of what the city means and an example of what they're fighting for, and this siege mentality that they have where it's like an us against the world thing, and you could see everyone try to attack Liverpool about the booing. You could see, or you could hear from all of the pundits and all of the people that really didn't deserve to have an opinion. They all used that as an opportunity to pile on. And I think fans feel like if anyone was going to stand by us and fight for us, it should have been Trent. And to see him go, I think I used the analogy of like seeing Achilles decide that he was going to go to Troy and fight for Troy just for shits and giggles because he wanted a new adventure. And I think that is kind of how it feels like, where it's like you're leaving and you're going to fight for theoretically the enemy. But I don't know. That's my perspective. I'm not from Liverpool. I don't even know if I deserve to have a perspective on these things. I just think it's very sad that he's leaving. I wish he was leaving in better circumstances. And I do hope that it's kind of like a line drawn under it, because it felt really awkward. It felt really awkward after the booing, after, people got their point across. And then then it just kind of felt sort of childish.
I mean, and Dickos, but a genuine question: why Chelsea fans boo Mount? No uproar. Yeah, because they've been booing Mount since he left. Because they probably feel the same about Mount as Liverpool fans feel about Trent. But I think the way he left, they feel is also a bit of a betrayal from the bits I've seen on social from Chelsea. Is I don't think they liked the way he left either, and the way he engineered his move to Man United. So
yeah, the difference being that
they got a fee for him.
Chelsea got a good fee for him, and Chelsea actually, in fairness, milked that to the nth degree. And look, they funded the deal, a good few deals on the back of it. I mean, for me, I think Mo Salah's coming at this from a different point of view. Where,
mate, isn't it?
No, not even that. Mo Salah's coming at this from a professional footballer's point of view. That, look, Curtis, Trent, Conor Bradley, Gerald Kwanzaa, they're 4 players who come through the academy. Everyone else at the club in the first team who's going to hand us a title have come from someone else's academy, have been produced elsewhere, and we've brought in. And he's looking at it from a football point of view, saying, look, yeah, players move. Football is a business. And at 26, if he wants a new challenge, if he wants to go and try something else, perfectly entitled to. He's fulfilled his contract, away you go. Completely understand the frustration, the hurt, the anger, a lot of emotion. Again, if people want to carry that on, they're perfectly entitled to it. But there's a bigger picture of what's going to be like against Palace. And I fully expect Trent to play some part in that Palace game, whether it's from the start or off the bench. I think it'll be from the start. I think Bradley starts away against Brighton, but I fully expect Trent to start at home. And there's a bigger thing going on that day than Trent leaving. So look, each to their own on it. But I mean, it is. We forget the fact that it is football is a business, and if he wants to go and experience living in Spain, playing in a different league, playing for a different club, different surroundings, more power to him. He's perfectly entitled to. Owes us absolutely nothing. And that's the truth. And if people don't like it, then that's perfectly fine. But I watched his debut. I watched his pre-season debut against Bayern, and I'll hopefully watch his last game against Crystal Palace. And watched a lot of football that he's played for us. He's given us some fucking unbelievable moments. So I'm not going to let how he's leaving cloud the last however many years. He's just given us way too much.
Yeah, I mean, Andeko in the comments has put, it will destroy the whole day if Trent starts. It only destroys the day if you let it. And I can't. This is just my view. So everyone can react how they want. For me, if your focus of the day is I'm going to boo Trent and I'm going to make him know that I'm not happy, is my opinion, you're doing it wrong. The focus should be on the ones who are staying. And the fact is, you're going to see a Premier League trophy lifted in Liverpool. First time we've lifted a league title in Liverpool since 1990. That should be all that you care about. Not who's staying, who's going. Quite frankly, to me, maybe it's because I'm 42. I'm just like, I don't care. If you go, if football's go, they go. Would I've liked him to leave in a different way? Yes. But ultimately, he's gone now. He's gone now. So all I care about is let's enjoy the league title win, all get drunk in Liverpool, watch the parade, enjoy it, and then get excited to see what's Liverpool going to do. How are we going to see? How do we get a Frimpong working with a Bradley? What do we do at left back? Does Canati get binned in the summer because he might not sign a new contract? We don't know. What are they going to do with the front line? They're all the things we should be looking forward to. Ultimately, with me, once they leave the club, I largely don't care. Go play your sport. Go and enjoy your career. Watch Liverpool. It doesn't really bother me that much, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there's a good point where someone in the chat said that don't make it the Trent show, and I think hopefully the point has been made. I mean, there was an opportunity that Slot opened the door for, which was, this kind of highlight of him going onto the pitch. It gave everyone the opportunity to kind of direct their vitriol directly at him. Hopefully that won't happen again. And when it comes down to the last day, Trent's part of the team that got us to where we are. Like, I just want to cheer the entire team for that day. I don't want there to be any bad feelings. Like, if people still hold grudges, that's fine. Like, just park them for that one day or that one weekend and just enjoy the celebrations of that weekend, because you don't know when it's going to come around again. I have no idea when it's going to come around again. And I don't know, what kind of world events there are. We had no idea that it was going to take us this long to be able to celebrate it again in person. And I, for one, am making the trip all the way over there. I just want it to be a happy weekend. I don't want it to be tinged with sadness.
Go on Liverpool, are you?
I am. You know what?
Showing off, are you?
One opportunity this year to kind of, talk about that. Unlike you, who talks about it every single week. So
I don't know what he's talking about.
What did you guys make of the rest of the interview? Thought it was I thought his comments about the transition from Jurgen Klopp to Arne Slot were interesting. His role, how it's changed, the fact that Arne Slot made him feel like a superstar. He made a point of that, like how important he was to the future, how much the younger he. I loved the bit where he talked about how Arne Slot pulled him up in about warming up properly.
Yeah.
And how everyone else, all the young lads, were copying what he did in the warm up. It's kind of reminded me of that interview that he did with Andy Robertson when Robertson pulled him for throwing up a huff when he missed a chance. And it was the same kind of thing where everyone looks to how he reacts to when someone goes wrong or when someone goes sideways. Arne Slot did exactly the same thing. Everyone looks to him and he's a standard bearer. So there was a lot in that interview. Yeah, the Trent stuff was there, and I know that's what Sky Sports and everyone else is going to focus on. But there was an awful lot of other stuff. Was there any other things that you guys picked up on?
I liked the pun up there. It just felt to me like probably what the club hoped when Klopp left was Slot gives everyone a new challenge, and it just looks to me like he's probably played to Mo's ego a little bit of I'll give you some leeway. You're the standard bearer, so you're going to get treated differently. But if you're getting treated differently, there's a bigger onus on you to deliver. And maybe that's also a bit of in a good way not kick up the arse, maybe that's all right, but a mental jolt to go, okay, so I don't have to defend as much. I've got to be a bit fresher, but I'm going to get more chances and I'm going to take my chances. I mean, this has been his best goal scoring season, I think, since his first season. So it clearly works. So, yeah, I like that. I just like the fact it wasn't a robotic interview. So many football interviews today are so robotic. I like the fact he's got a bit of personality about him. He's pretty cocky about how good he is. I mean, to be fair, he also delivers on it, but I quite like that. I like the fact he has a bit of a laugh and a joke at Gary Neville's expense and just says like, well, yeah, did you think it's goal? He's like, do you think you'll do the record? Yeah, well, yeah. Are you confident? Yes, I will do it. And he just said it deadpan. He was like, I think Gary was thinking that, and then the little Kevin De Bruyne joke at the end just made me chuckle.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell that he is at the point of his career where he's just trying to kind of fine-tune things. And I think when listening to him speak about Arne Slot, it's almost like it's very similar where Slot came in and he was just fine-tuning things. Things were already pretty good last year. Like there was a lot of emotional baggage, but the team was in place. Like it was just about getting it working to its optimum. And I think, if you're at the level of detail where you're giving players videos of the very first training session and the way that they're sprinting back or not sprinting back, like it does tell you kind of the level of perfectionism and like extreme minute detail that Slot is getting down to. And that's right off the bat. So I imagine that it's only gotten more specific as time has gone on. He seems to really love and relish that kind of responsibility and feedback. And it seems to echo what I've heard from other players where when they get information from Arne Slot, like it's delivered in a way that's really digestible and they are really striving to take it on board and better themselves. It's not, I don't know. There's other coaches in this league that I think you see them and I look at them and I wonder like, how do you get your point across to the squad? I think listening to Mo, it's very clear that Slot's very good at that kind of a thing. I don't know. I mean, it was very refreshing. I felt like I was getting true insight from Mo, and it's weird because I feel that now from Slot where I get true insight when he speaks, and it's like the players being this reflection of the manager.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, he's definitely having a dig at. I don't he's a dig at Klopp. He's definitely dig at other managers where he said like certain managers are just wedded to the way they play. He said Slot isn't. Said it's impressed me earlier on the season how he changed up tactics and changed up the setup at half time to get us the win. So maybe this is more aimed at like your Aussie mate. That's the way we play, mate. That's the way we play. That's the way we play, mate, and that's it. And I think good managers are flexible.
But I think that's kind of the way football has gone. It's like you heard it before with us. If plan A doesn't work, do plan A better. And sometimes even Mo made a point about it, how sides are starting to work out now where he's set up and where he wants to play and how he wants to play. And he's getting doubled up a lot more in the last 4 or 5 games than he has done all season. And he said, like, we'll have to look at that and maybe tweak something else for next season. And it was one thing that Jurgen Klopp was very good at, was evolving the side tactically, because the side that for the first few years when he came in to the side that he left were completely different ways of playing. And I expect Arne Slot to do exactly the same. This is what he devised as the best way for this squad of players to play to get the maximum number of points and win major trophies. That could change in the summer with the personnel that he brings in, and the focus and how we play could change again. It could evolve into a different way of playing, or we could revert back to a different type of 4-3-3. There's different ways of this season could change into next season. We don't know. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that evolves. But I mean, look, I thought for once it was a good interview with Neville, because Neville knew when to shut up and to just let Mo talk. And Mo was really relaxed. It's easy to be relaxed as well, though, when you've won the big one and you know how good you are. This is arguably his best season as an all-round player for Liverpool. So, he's top of the world at the moment. It was interesting as well. Did you notice when he was talking about the Ballon d'Or that, Rafinha, Lamau, himself, he's like, yeah, I want to win that. And this season might be his best chance of it. So, and the thing is, if you win individual awards as a player, to win the big individual awards, your club has to be successful. You're not going to win a Ballon d'Or if you're finishing 5th in the Premier League. So it's like you want him involved in these conversations as much as humanly possible. No different to when Virgil was nominated on the back of an exceptional season. I thought it was a really, really good piece. For 20 minutes, it was a really good watch.
I'm glad that Mo didn't take the bait when Neville said, well, why do you think you haven't won it? Like, it felt like it was pushing him in a direction to say something that I'm just glad he didn't say
it. The easy answer to that is Leo Messi. Do you ever watch Mo Salah? When they do this thing, you've seen a lot of it on YouTube and on some other socials where they'll get a player and they say, okay, this player, pick one. Who's better? And yada, yada, yada. And it comes out when Mo Salah, it was Mo Salah or Leo Messi. And he goes, Leo Messi, it's Leo Messi, Messi. And he just like laughing his head off. It's like, yeah, he knows that Leo Messi is on a different level to what Mo Salah is. And Mo Salah is exceptional, and Messi is just on another level. But now Mo Salah is that man. He is that guy. And Lamine Yamal could develop into that guy. Rafinha is having an exceptional season, but Mo Salah is right up there. He should be right up there in the reckoning. It's just going to be a case of how much weight does the Champions League carry in the selection for who wins the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah. I think some embargo stuff come out in a minute, so we'll get you to bring that up in a minute, Kev, and we'll for Ashley's Corner. But before we do that, don't forget, we do have a Patreon. We've got a new feature now. We've got the little Patreon QR code. We'll get all high tech now. So if you get your camera out, click on the QR code, takes you to the Patreon app, and you can sign up to Patreon. First month's free, so you can see what we do, all the behind the scenes stuff. What we're able to do in Patreon, which we can't do on YouTube, is we can show a lot more video clips and statistics, and make it a bit more interactive. And you get into our Telegram group where you get to read Ashley's 7-page essays on her thoughts of the day, which are
7 pages.
Which are good fun. You get to go into the transfer chat, which is just mental, and you get to hear about Brian talking about cows, which I'm not even going to put any context around.
Do you know what I'm missing at the minute? I'm really missing in the Telegram chat is chip chat. We haven't had a proper chip chat conversation in Telegram.
Well, you're gonna have to wait now, Kev. That's a September.
But you're into the summer now. You're into the summer stuff. So
Matt's bringing over international chips when he flies over, and I might do the same. So there might actually be chip chat coming.
Ooh,
Crisp chat, you mean?
Live from perhaps the pergola. I do not know.
interesting.
No, save him for Liverpool. Bring him over to Liverpool.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like the transport is this whole other matter. I mean, we're trying not to have it be like, crumb chat. It's supposed to be chip chat.
But yeah, the Telegram group is absolutely mental. If the QR code, if the Patreon is something that's try it for a month. Try it for a month. See how you get on. If you don't like it, just don't.
We had a really good show last night. Me, Kev, and Matt. Kev ballsed up the format completely, which is quite forward thinking, where we basically pick a subject and you describe it in 4 words or less. So we went through all the pundits and their predictions. Kev went for 4 paragraphs. He didn't realise it's 4 words, but we'll get there. O'Sheen's but Chris never fails to stick the boot in on Ashley. Ashley gives as good as she can get, and you don't see the messages we get from Ashley in our WhatsApp group. It's
Chris he's a red card every time.
But you know what? And do you know the best thing about the Telegram chat, right? The community that we're lucky enough to have is based all around the world. If you're in Australia and it's 2:00 in the afternoon, you fire messages in there. There will be a conversation to be had about football or whatever the hell else you want to talk about.
Tractors is a big one.
But that's the best thing about the Telegram is the fact that
actually
it's a real community feel about it. It's a real good laugh as well.
It's also a bit of a culture shock as well because we educated Ashley on the Chris Kamara clip, what we all talk about when he missed the sending off, and Ash was like, no idea what this is, so we had to put the clip in. She's like, this is brilliant. And that's where the cultural difference. We go like, you don't know about Chris Kamara. Let me share you about Chris Kamara. This is brilliant.
If it's something that interests you, scan the QR code, give it a go. The link will be in the description as well. But yeah, look, also, it's just great crack.
It's great for us because we get some good ideas from it as well for shows.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of the ideas for shows come from Telegram group, which say, "Have you thought about doing this?" And we'll generally give it a go because if it works, it's what you guys want. It's great fun. O'Sheen apparently says that I'm a shrewd operator, Ashley. So you've got to hit me back. I mean, to be honest, that could be a Patreon exclusive, and Ashley gets in Liverpool. First view of me knocking me out. That could be fun. So let's do a starting 11 of predictions, and then should have a bit of talk about cup finals because it is that weekend. So Ashley, you pick the 11. Kev, you interrupt Ashley when you think you disagree.
Yep.
Okay. Allison starts. I think Virgil and Kanate are the center backs. I think Bradley and Robertson start. I think Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and McAllister play in midfield. I think Gakpo plays on the left, Diaz plays through the middle, and Salah plays on the right.
Okay. Would you make any changes, Kev?
I think Andico made a great point here. He thinks that Kelleher might start tomorrow or Monday night and will possibly be his last game for the club. It wouldn't surprise me. The back four, I think you can have a toss-up with Costas and Robertson. The midfield, I think against Brighton, you have to give yourself the best chance of going in and winning the game. So, yeah, you go with that midfield for sure. Up front, though, could be interesting. I wonder if he'll maybe look at Jota or Darwin through the middle because Brighton will come and...
I'd rather stick Chiesa through the middle, but I don't think he'll leave me in the squad.
Yeah, but I think Brighton will come and try to dominate the ball and look to push players on. I think there'll be space to play in behind. It wouldn't surprise me if Darwin got a start. It genuinely wouldn't. I don't know why. It's just it wouldn't surprise me.
But you're usually really good at these things.
Yeah.
So I am going to defer to you.
No,
I don't think he'll start, but I'd quite like to see Elliot get the last half an hour with the two of the main lads. So like Gravenberch, McAllister, and then try Elliot in the more advanced role. Just to see what he could do with the regular lads around him. Because I think when you threw him in against Chelsea, obviously he didn't have a good game, but it was with a very changed midfield. Very changed back four. You're a bit like, didn't give him sort of a proper opportunity. I'd just like to see what he does. Plus, actually, it'd be good to see what he's like in that 10 role before we bring Florian Wirtz in, because that could be fun.
I mean, I'm like letting myself get a little bit too carried away with all of this, especially with City dropping down out of the top 5. I'm like, well, he's not going to go to City if they're not getting Champions League football. You know,
Now,
and
apparently,
there's a
City
few
have to.
people.
City
Go
got Morgan Gibbs White, don't they?
I mean,
He's
I
a good
I
player.
would like
He's
him
not.
to. He would be a very good signing, but I think Kev has made this point in the past about signings where it's like, if you look at a player, how much would you hate if he went to a rival? And Verts is one of those players that not only would I absolutely hate it, I would hate it for the next 10 years because he's so young, he's so influential, and you see what a Kevin De Bruyne can do for a team. Like, he has the potential to have that level of impact.
I know. Could you imagine Verts behind a Haaland? You'd be like, oh.
It would just feel like a cheat code, and I would absolutely hate it if he went there. I mean, I think obviously we all know that he's probably going to Bayern, and this is all just sort of an entertaining little sideshow. But until it's
think it might have been
completely.
I think it might have been John Gibbons in the Anfield Rap who said this, and he goes, they floated the theory of the buyout clause that is rumoured for Frimpong is not what you have to pay up front, you can pay it in instalments. And sometimes they wonder if the deal was almost Leverkusen said, listen, we'll let you do it in instalments, but can we use you as a bit of back scratching PR to bump this price up? Which, I'll be honest, it does happen with a lot of clubs. As much as people don't think that sort of stuff happens, there is definitely a bit of mutual back scratches sometimes. But yeah, you can use our name to bump a price up because we could take that favour back at a later point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we've done what we did with Kvaratskhelia. Keep us informed, keep us in the loop. If there's any signal from the player that he could be interested in coming to the Premier League, we'll be all over him like a rash. He's too good a player not to. I think it's Bayern where he goes. And I'll go out of my way next season to watch him and Musiala playing as 2 10s behind with Harry Kane in front of them in a Bayern side that could do anything next season with those two. I mean, that there would be an awesome looking side. But I'd imagine he has a buyout. I think this is a thing where he himself could be using the Premier League clubs to jack up his wages and see how much Bayern are willing to, because Bayern do pay well. Bayern do pay top end wage. Their wage bill for top end players can rival any club. I mean, what they pay for the squad players is a different kettle of fish. But yeah, I don't see a world where he doesn't end up at Bayern Munich. But it's nice to flirt with the idea because I think if you sign a player like him, I definitely think he could play through the middle as a 9.
Yeah,
not a striker.
You would get him instead of a 9. Like, you would get him if you weren't spending the big bucks on Isaac, for example.
I think if we go in the fantasy world that he's coming, I still think Liverpool look to buy him and a 9. I just think the 9 might be more of a project. Or an upgraded Origi, Kev, who that player is, I don't know. As in, like,
a lap or something, and
someone like that. We go like,
he's got a release clause as well. We love a release clause.
But someone who's a bit of a plan B. As in, like, you might start with the whole false 9 Verts, but then you've got something different to throw off the bench.
I mean, Jonathan makes a point here. We're getting seriously carried away. Anytime Joyce or Ornstein mentions a player we're linked with lately,
because
tell you something. They're about the only two people in the media that when they put a name and Liverpool in the same sentence, I tend to take notice. I don't take notice of pretty much the vast majority of anyone else. But if those two, in particular, if both of them are saying that we're interested, I take it as face value. I think you'd be a fool not to be interested in a player like Florian Wirtz if he becomes available in the market.
Also,
that doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere. It means that there is more. I'd be amazed if there isn't genuine interest in someone like him, because he's got the potential to be an absolute superstar.
Also, Joyce isn't one for throwing lots of transfer stuff out. If you look at his Twitter feed, there isn't like loads of links, loads of chat. It's quite sparing. Ornstein's a lot more busy, but he obviously has fingers a lot more pies. But I think it's been obvious since Richard Hughes came to Liverpool, that's who's got his ear, and so is Michael Edwards.
Yeah.
So That's why you tend to sort of pay attention. If it had come from the Mirror or the Telegraph, you probably would have just laughed it off and gone, "Oh, well, you know."
Yeah, and makes a really good point actually. Anytime we get linked with XYZ player by
James Pearce
anyone
rolled
other
out.
than those two, James Pearce is wheeled out. James, will you knock this one on the head, please?
Bad
And
news
he
Pearce comes out.
and he duly obliges to just kill the dreams of the online Twitterati. But
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, Liverpool are a massive club. If a player of that quality is available, you will be linked with him. So, there's no point in ignoring the obvious. He is a talent, and we'll see where it goes. I can't see any other destination for him than Bayern Munich. But if he comes to the Premier League, Man City is the one club I would hate him to end up at, because he would be the bane of our existence for the next 5 years.
Out of curiosity, how do you guys feel, just theoretically? We've had a few of these sort of false starts where, the name is connected with Liverpool. It's not poo-pooed like a Kvaratskhelia. How do you feel about that being put out? Like, what do you feel like that's doing? Because sometimes I look at these and I just wonder, like, what's the purpose of this kind of a press blast that's coming from like a Joyce and an Ornstein?
I think I think the club let it go when they can use it to their advantage of being a distraction, while everyone else and their aunt is looking at us and Florian Wirtz. Richard Hughes is in the background talking to XYZ players. Look, that's not really happening, but I'm here talking to you because I want you to come and play for us, and this is what I want to do with you. And they can do it quietly. It wouldn't be the first time that Liverpool have allowed links to go out to XYZ player while we've been talking to someone else. And I think it serves a good purpose for that. And there's no harm being linked with players like that. I think the problem comes if a story comes out that Liverpool make an offer. If Liverpool, like what happened with Caicedo. With Caicedo, Liverpool made the offer was accepted, and we went and talked to the player said no. That's when it becomes an issue. But just being linked with players, you have to take it all with a shovel full of salt in May.
I'd like to
take
think
it for what it's worth. Take it at face value. And
I'd like to think that's one thing the club's learned from Zubimendi to a certain point and the Caicedo bids, which was you don't really want to be leaking out that you put a bid in if you're not 100% sure the player wants to come. That's where it looks. To me, can look a bit amateurish, and that's where it can backfire. And up until recent years, generally when something came out that Liverpool had bid for a player, within 48 hours it was done.
Yeah, well, that's why I brought it up, because it feels like there's been recent developments with the way that they've been handling social media, and it hasn't always worked in their favor. And I think, when you see these links by these journalists that I would consider very reputable in these two, it just makes me wonder, why would they continuously put themselves out there with the potential for failure if it wasn't legitimate, if the interest wasn't concrete. And that's why I am kind of just allowing myself to get carried away a little bit, because it feels like, I think the interest is concrete. I don't know how far it goes, but I think the interest is concrete. Like, if he became available, we would definitely be a player in the conversation.
So back to the Liverpool Brighton game. Ashley, give us a score prediction. Easy one, this.
2-2 for me. I'm not gonna go with a Brighton win, although I think that's probably the way it's going.
She's back again, Kev. It's like Fulham all over again.
2-2. No. I was very clear. I said 2-2. I'm gonna still back our team to show up a little bit, but I just don't think the competitive edge is there.
Who's gonna score?
I'm still gonna root for Mo. I want him to get that final goal to push him into that 32 game record. He wants it. It's right there. He talked about how much he wanted it and how much he wanted the team to kind of step up to help him to make it happen. So I'm going to go with him. I think Diaz scores again. I think he's just been kind of red hot recently. For them, I don't really care. It's probably going to be Welbeck and maybe a Mitoma.
Okay. O'Shea's got 3-1 Brighton. Thanks, O'Shea. Cheers for that.
I agree with O'Shane. I'd have 3-1 Brighton.
Oh, Kev.
No, look. I just don't think that we're.
At
I
it.
don't think. Yeah, I just don't. I don't think we have the edge. And I think it was telling in the Arsenal game. I think they want to play. I think they want to show off, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think they want to play fluid, attacking football, and they want to really have a go. And if it works, if it clicks, and we take our chances, we could run riot against anyone, and I'd include Brighton in that. I just think that Brighton have it all to play for, and depending on how results go this weekend, if they're still in with a shout, I think they'll be bang up for it. It's their last home game, and they'll want to sign off this season with a bang in front of their own fans on a Monday night. You also have players for Brighton who are going to be playing for moves and looking to impress. And I think the ball is firmly in their court. They will never get a better chance to turn over the champions than they will do this Monday night. And I think they have enough in the lockers. I'm looking forward to seeing João Pedro. I'm looking forward to watch. Yeah, he should be available. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. I'm looking forward to seeing how Baleba can play in the midfield. I want to see what kind of footballer Baleba is. I think we know he's destructive. We know he's a good ball winner. I want to see what kind of I want to watch him to see what kind of a footballer he is, and see if there's potential there. But yeah, I'm not really. I'm kind of like where I think the Liverpool players are. I don't have an edge for it. I don't. I'm watching this thing, and I just want to watch the game because there's players on both sides I really want to watch and really want to see how they get on. But
I like Davey C's one. 5-3, Salah 2, Diaz 1, Van Dijk and Keller were penalty at the end. Oh, Dave. That's why I love Dave T. Oh, fuck it. I'll say 3-2 Liverpool. No basis for this whatsoever.
Yeah.
Blind optimism.
I'll go with Diaz, Salah, and Lewis Dunk scores the winner with an own goal because that's what Lewis Dunk does. So that's what I'll go for shits and giggles. Right, cup final. Let's talk about the cup final. Crystal Palace against Man City. Man City are bookies' favourites. You would think so. That those in and around FA Cup semi-finals and finals. I think Pep was very proud of his 7 semi-finals. Was it? I think he was something along those lines. And someone rightly pointed out on the overlap. City lost last year to a mid-table side, so lightning can strike twice. I think this would be a good game because in the game at the Etihad was exciting. I think they were inches away from it being 3-0 Palace, and then City came back and won 5-3. So I think for it to be a good final, Ash, I think probably the early Palace goal or Palace to score first to at least make it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Palace have turned it around in a way that I was not expecting. I think their coach has done a really good job. I think they had like a really bad run at the beginning of the season where I thought maybe he was on the chopping block. I'm not quite sure what was going on there. But he's got them functioning in a way that they're always competitive. They're always kind of playing more like they're more than the sum of their parts. It feels a little bit like what Frank is doing at Brentford, where they're more than the sum of their parts, and they always kind of are up for a fight. It just depends on what kind of City shows up, to be honest. If you're getting City firing on all cylinders and they're making it work, then that's great. If you're getting the City that couldn't score against Southampton, then I think that Crystal Palace has a fantastic, fantastic chance. I think, Mateta up front is always a threat. I think you've got Eze in really good form. There's enough there that it's not a walkover. I don't even think calling them a mid-table, they're mid-table where they are I just think they're performing better than mid-table is what I'm trying to say. Really poorly. My words are just all over the place tonight, so I apologize.
It was mainly to do a Man United dig.
Yeah, no,
there wasn't much beyond that, to be honest.
Go ahead. You can take it from me, then.
I think they're Man City's kryptonite, and I think they have been for a good few years. I think Mateta will give Man City's centre-backs all kinds of problems. He's in the form of his life at the minute, and Eze is hit the streak at the minute where he's just turning up. Wharton looks like he's playing really well.
Touch and go with me for the final.
Yeah, the thing is, Palace used to have this thing of dealing with Haaland, and they used to play a back five, and you'd have two centre backs marking the space, and one marking the middle. And Mark Guehi is going to be vital to Palace if they're to get a win.
And he didn't play at the Etihad.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very far from a walkover. I think City are going to have to play exceptionally well to beat this Palace side. And I give Palace a really good chance, a really, really good chance in this.
Wait, what prediction are you going for then, Kev?
I think Palace will nick it. I hope Palace nick it. I think this is my heart rule in my head. I hope Palace win it. I think they'll win it 2-1. 2 counter-attack goals. And I think they'll hold down for dear life. I think it'll be a massive day for them to pick up their very first bit of silverware.
And Ash, what are you going for?
I'm going to let my heart lead on this one and say Palace nick it. I think for the same reason that Newcastle showed up against us, they have this opportunity to get silverware for the first time in such a long time. And for Palace, I think it's their first time ever. That gives you an extra bit of motivation. I don't know, like I said, what kind of City shows up. Are they jaded? Do they care? They've won FA Cups. Like, I kind of felt like we showed up jaded to the cup this year. I don't think that we took it nearly as seriously as Newcastle did. I don't know. I think if Palace approach it with the same mindset that Newcastle approached their cup final, I think it could absolutely go to them. I think they have all the tools to beat City. I don't think that this is a walkover. I'm going to go 2-0. I think that similar to, I think it was the semifinal performance from Palace. I wasn't expecting that performance from them, and they just kind of showed up, and it was fantastic. I hope they do the same thing for the final.
Yeah. I'll go for a hat trick. I'm going to say 3-2 Palace. And then we're all happy then because City lose, and it's an exciting game. So all in all, that's what you want.
The thing is, City are in no kind of form at the minute, and you wonder how fit Haaland is, and whether he'll be risked. You wonder how much Kevin De Bruyne has in the tank in what's going to be a really hot day at Wembley. Davey makes a point there. FA Cup final day was so special when he was young. Same for me. The build-ups, the cameras on the coaches, the songs, the suits, everything about it. And it used to be on both channels as well. And the excitement just isn't there for the day anymore. But all of that could change if Palace get a result. The thing is, it's the advent of the Premier League killed the FA Cup final day. Football saturation killed the FA Cup final day because it was always one of the only games that was club games that was televised.
I do like the fact, though, that at least for this year, the FA Cup final is the only game on. All the league games are Friday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So they're at least making it back to being the event is the FA Cup. So that's at least something. So I always thought I was a step in the right direction, I would say, at least, which is always helpful. But anyway, I wasn't talking about that cup final. There's a bigger cup final tomorrow. Hellsby girls are in the cup final against Glenavon. So Olivia is playing in a cup final at 9 a.m. tomorrow. So so I'm more excited about that than anything else. I couldn't give a shit about Liverpool Brighton. Sorry, spoilers. So that's my full focus this week.
Gotcha. Well, that'll be good. Good luck to her. Wish her all the best.
Absolutely. Ashley, you threw this comment in earlier on. Do you want to elaborate on this?
It was just I like throwing in fun facts, and the fun fact of tonight is that Amarin has won 24 points in his 26 Premier League games, which is a points per game ratio of 0.92, which is lower than Paul Jewell's Premier League points per game of 0.94. And he was the man who managed Derby in their 11-point season. So in terms of, they're stuck with Amarim, but he's not really doing anything to impress. And
I've got to be honest, he is getting away with murder.
I mean, it's
because
bad.
as bad as that. I mean, listen, that squad's not great, and there's plenty of holes, and we can make comments about Jim Radcliffe and all the other stuff. Thanks, Davey. But Jesus Christ, that side is not bad enough to be where it is. And
there's enough there to like at least. I mean, we've seen it. Like they can play if they get their mentality right.
That side should be at least in European spots. Maybe not Champions League, but at least Europa League spots.
I mean, they've got enough talent there to at least compete in and around like the Brightons of this world. They shouldn't be down at the bottom of that table, but that's where they are.
That's where
I'm
Roy.
happy that's where they are, but either way, whether it's Ange that wins or Amorim that wins that Europa League final, it is just a paper over the crack scenario.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I actually think it does worse. I don't know. I actually think it's worse for the winner because I think that it makes them have this weird false sense of security when both of them just need to kind of implode the whole thing and start over.
Thanks. Steve's gone 6-0 to the kids. Olivia to score the fourth. If Olivia scores a win in the cup final, I'll be on the pitch.
Chris will have a voice to speak with.
No. I mean, you'll know all about it.
I guarantee you that we will be doing shows about Manchester United's season.
I thought maybe we do shows about Olivia winning the cup. What I do.
Jonathan makes a point. Can't wait to go to see the Dickinson Hill Stadium next year. Sounds exciting.
Doesn't roll off the tongue, does it, like Bramley?
No. A fool's joke when I saw this.
This is 2 points because Everton have handed Everton's women Goodison Park. How do you, Chris? Because you deal mainly.
I think
feel about
Everton's women, that's a really good thing because where they play at the moment, it's just literally one stand. So it's good. It's good for the women's game. It's a good way of growing it. You know, I wish Liverpool women had their own stadium in Merseyside. You know, at the moment we have to share a rugby stadium in St Helens. So I actually think that's a big positive for the women because I'm sure for Everton the easier thing would have been to sell the land and rip it down. I know it's in where it is in Liverpool, but I still think you'd have made more money ripping it down. So I actually was pleasantly surprised. I thought that actually for the women's game and for the women's team, that's a big plus. You know, historical stadium, that I actually think that'll help them. I think, it'd be better facilities than what they've got at the moment. So no, I thought it was a good thing. As for the naming of the new stadium, there's so many jokes. I can't wait until they go on a bad run because there could be so many jokes with that name.
Yeah, I thought it was an April Fool's joke, and I was like, really? That's what they're going with?
I thought it was an Indy Kyle joke. I generally thought this is an Indy Kyle wind up. I was like, oh no, it's Paul Joyce. Oh shit, it's the real Paul Joyce as well.
No.
How many times did you have to, before Twitter brought in their verification process, how many times did you have to click into Joyce's?
Luckily, I always had Joyce's on a notification. So whoever said Joyce has said this, you're going, I've not had a notification, and you then go, no, it's not the real one. Yeah, that's always the key thing is if you had notification on the journals that you're interested in.
Look,
if it doesn't flash up, then you know it's a wind up. But yeah,
I have a feeling that Everton have looked at this. I think they've looked at the what they can potentially get back for the land sale, and thought, do you know what? We'll hand the stadium over to the Everton's women's side for the next 3 or 4 years. See what happens with property prices, and they might revisit it. But as it stands, it's a massive. I think it's massive.
Football's a growing sport. They've just signed a 3-year deal now with TNT and Channel 4. So it's going to show the FA Cup games for next season. So again, it means there'll be more. At least for Channel 4, there's free to air. It means BBC. I think it means BBC have lost the FA Cup for the women, but it's on Channel 4, so it's still on terrestrial. So and the one good thing for the WSL, which they've done better, I would say, this year than they have done in previous years, is they've moved it away from their own player, and now any game that is not on Sky or TNT is live on their YouTube channel for free. So you're almost making it as easy as possible for people to get access to it. And that was always a big challenge with the women's game, was getting people access to see it because they don't shout about it enough.
Yeah. Well, Scouser Pete makes a point here. As much as we dislike them, and we do, the old lady is a stadium steeped in history. So many fans from both sides of the city have made many memories there. So, and yeah, he's right. Look,
Yeah.
it is.
I love to rag on Everton, as you all know, but no,
Yeah.
I saw that. I thought fair play. That's actually really,
I love
really
saving
good.
old stadiums. I love that we saved the old stadium. I love that we didn't take it down and rebuild it. Like I love that. That's, I don't know. I just think going forward, like you can't replicate that history. Yeah, Spurs have a fantastic new shiny stadium, but it doesn't feel the same. Like
no, and you've got to hit the ground running in a new stadium. I think Arsenal found that with the Emirates. It took them a couple of years to get that back to being the fortress that it was. I would argue Southampton were never quite the same when they left the Dell. They probably had to, but it can also take a little time to bed in at new stadiums. Right. I think anything from you guys before we go?
No. All good. I'm just looking forward to the cup final now. Actually,
did you want to read out those quotes from Slot just real quick? I don't know if you want to do that. I don't know if you have them.
I didn't pick them up. Sorry.
Okay, hold on. It was interesting. He was asked about Slot. I'll have to find them. But Slot was asked about Chiesa and does he have a future? Yeah, exactly. And it basically his question was, does he have a future here at Liverpool? And Slot's answer was yes, definitely he has. I think everyone playing for us over here has a future over here. Next season, if he comes back completely fit, which he has hardly been for the first half of this season, and then afterwards he became fitter and fitter. The next step should have been playing time, which I couldn't give him, but I can give him playing time in preseason so he can build himself up and go even further. So it was just interesting that came out in the embargo section. I don't know why specifically that was the portion that got embargoed, but
you could spin that. You could spin that two ways, couldn't you? Really, depending.
Oh, I'm sure you can. I mean, I don't necessarily see him staying. I don't think that's the most likely outcome. But
I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, if he's happy here, and you're not going to sign a right winger, and you don't have the money to allocate, I don't know. You've spent so much time getting him fit.
Is it going to be like the old Klopp thing that you used to say to all the players? Is you have a 1 year deal, me and you. We commit to everything this season, then we talk in the summer. So maybe he's going to see what it looks like in preseason. Go, actually, his preseason well, I can use him, and then go from there.
No, I think the journalists harp on about Federico Chiesa more so from the fact that they know how good he is. They know what he can offer, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we all pretty much expect Darwin to go. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Darwin and Jota go and Chiesa's kept. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, to replace 3 forwards out of 6 in one window, as well as a right back, a left back, potentially a midfielder, and potentially a centre back, I think that's a lot. So it wouldn't surprise me if he does stay. We'll see.
And Deco's put breaking, and then he's put Real Madrid paying £2 million for Trent Alexander-Arnold.
We'll see.
That's a bit of a cliffhanger to end on. There's a lot of feedback happening now. I don't know if you're trying to get that live.
I'll try to get it off my phone. Yeah, look at that. Look at you trying to bury me there. Look, get your own back.
See, this is what it's really like behind the scenes.
Oh,
these two shaft each other like you wouldn't believe.
Do you know something? Maybe we should release them.
I'm going to go out on that win right now.
Maybe something we should release our WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp.
No, we definitely will not.
No, just the ones of me and Ashley having a go with each other because they're great fun.
No.
No.
We're good. All right. I think that's it. I think we've done the breaking news. We've done all the other stuff. Final words, Chris, and then just take us out of here.
Okay, Kev, take us home. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Join the Patreon, and the boys will be back on Sunday night, and then us three will be back on Monday when we're going to talk about how pissed Liverpool looked on against Brighton. Till then, see you later.